Ladies and gentlemen, theys and thems, weavers of all races and subclasses, welcome to This Dungeon is Occupied. My name is Illadine, and together with Thorn and Pupnueve as your hosts, we strive to help you as players and game masters, or as we say, story weavers, from the aspiring to the veteran with questions, ideas, and interviews for your next tabletop role-playing game experience. So grab a beverage, sit with us, and remember, steal everything and have fun. Today, we have somebody who you should already know about, because you have been obviously listening to Occupied with Stardust and Dragons and the associated podcast Stardust and Dragons. But we have Brandon Hatcher on our podcast today. Thank you again for coming on.
Thank you for having me once again.
And
Hey,
what's
guys.
that? Is that
Hola.
is that a bus? And I'm gonna push you right under the bus. So, Max, in the episode 3, which you guys, I think at the time of this recording, it should be out, or it will be by the time this airs, by the way, dates and things. So she helped us with an NPC, and we told you on the last episode that you were going to make a town. So you're going to have to make a town, or I'll give it to you in organization to work with this NPC. This NPC is Alista Skystrike. Alista Skystrike is a hummingbird Aarakocra and a fighter pilot. We kind of talked about having like a Gundam-esque scenario with the fighter pilot, so it's very AR tech, and the Aarakocra will sit in the center of it, and the tech will fly with the hummingbird. So we had this idea that there's just going to be a squadron of these hummingbird techs, coming at either coming at the party. We had this idea of maybe the Spaceballs Winnebago coming into the planet, and maybe their communications array is messed up and couldn't self-identify, and so these fighter pilots come up alongside them to kind of see what's going on.
Planetary defense kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So when you say Gundams, do they look like Gundams? I imagine they look like giant hummingbirds. Like
that's what we were thinking. It was more
Okay.
of the internal
right.
being Gundam-esque.
like a pointy front, and then like a round shaped body, but the wings especially would look like a hummingbird's, like moving quickly.
And Max
they kind of maneuver.
Yeah, and Max did say like it would have the capabilities of a regular hummingbird, so it can hover, it can go forward and backward and stuff. So it's very maneuverable.
Awesome. Okay. All right. And so I'm supposed to be creating
either a town or an organization. You can pick. If we make a town, usually what we do is we do 3 businesses or storefronts and a associated NPC, and that's usually the blueprint for that town, just to get a story weaver started. If we do an organization,
if you do the organization, we'll just come up with 3 underlings, maybe whoever runs the whole organization.
I'm feeling like I want to overachieve today.
All right.
So I think I'm gonna mix of both. So how I'm imagining like a military base kind of a town.
Oh yeah, sure.
Like a state-sponsored kind of deal.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's like an organization. So like whatever organization creates the hummingbirds, right?
Mhm.
These are how do you say it? Aarakocra?
Aarakocra.
Aarakocra.
I had trouble with that too.
Yeah, Aarakocra. Okay.
Bird people.
Bird people. Yes. Yeah, the organization that makes these bird people. They need they obviously have to launch them and send it back, so they create this base, this military base, and they have like a little like a town inside of it, right? Where all of the so basically, the pilots would bring their families and stuff to live on this base, but it's like a little mini town, kind of like a Pleasantville kind of situation, where like everything's everything's been constructed in a certain way to kind of like remind people of like back home, but it's not really back home. And then like maybe the military base is like hidden up underneath it, so whenever like they need to launch the hummingbirds or something, like the baker shop just kind of like the entire baker shop just kind of moves like out of the way, and maybe,
Like the X-Men
where the pool is, and stuff, and then they go flying out of that or something.
Okay, I got a question. So
Okay.
you said you mentioned state run. So is this like the whole planet's run by the military?
No, not the no, the whole planet's not run by the military. This is just I would say that like when they're recruiting for these pilots, right? They recruit all over the place, maybe even other planets and stuff. So this is just a way to kind of keep all of the pilots like in one certain area on the planet.
Okay.
Okay. I like it. So now we obviously have a bakery. That
Yes.
has to be.
Oh,
there.
yeah.
But before we
Yeah.
do that, I mean, are we going to name this base, or is it just Area 57 or something?
Area 57. Area 62.
Area 62.
Yes, Area 62 because H is I think ABCD is Area.
Oh, he's
82.
going deep in the lore.
Oh yeah, he is.
Area 82 because H is the 8th letter of the alphabet and B is the second. So
Second
H
I
letter.
like it.
Hummingbird.
There you go.
Area 82.
Yeah.
All right.
That's awesome.
Now I'm gonna say this: it's surrounded by. This town is just in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's surrounded by these large trees that have these bright yellow leaves. So they lovingly refer to this town as the sunflower.
I love
Okay.
it.
Because you have these bright yellow trees in this town in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And everybody knows that it's a base.
Mm-hmm.
Not many people know the scrutiny that these Aarakocra have to go through to be able to be accepted to this base. It's very difficult to become a fighter pilot with this group because this is just one group of many.
Yeah.
This is like their elite fighter pilots.
Yes.
So
okay.
to be accepted by them is like, it's the biggest honor that they could have.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very proud of this. And they're also very proud of this location because not many people know it.
Yeah.
So
I like it.
Maybe
my addition.
like the baker, the what else would there be? There'd be like a butcher, a baker, a candlestick maker. They're also those are their day jobs, but those are the pilots.
Oh
Right?
hell yes.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Very
let's,
superhero-esque. I love it.
let's go with the bakery first. And I'm gonna reference Top Gun, and so the bakery shop is going to be a need, KNEAD, a need for sweets.
I love that. Yeah.
I like that.
So who, Thorn or Pup Nueve, if you can come up with a name that isn't, ridiculous like usual, for our bakery, for our baker pilot, let's make this baker. We already have a Lysta, who's the general. That was what Max's addition was, Sky Strike. So let's make the baker like a lieutenant or something, a higher ranked officer who's a pilot as well. What would be their name?
Hibiscus.
Hibiscus? I like it. Okay. Very hummingbird.
Yeah.
Hibiscus.
Hibiscus.
Is that their call sign too? Because Sky Strike was
the call
their
sign?
call
Yeah.
sign. Yeah.
Mhm. We can come up with another name. So hibiscus will be the call sign for this.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay, I like it. And what would be their name?
Elijah.
Elijah? Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Lucy.
Ugh. Elijah. Okay.
Elijah Hibiscus.
Elijah Hibiscus. I like that.
Yeah. And
What kind of
I
a
mean-
bird is are they all hummingbirds?
Yes.
I think they all have to be hummingbirds.
Right. Okay.
And I think that hibiscus, despite being such a calm name, it's the hotshot of the squad. I think that when they take off, Elijah has to push this button or make a spell or something to move the bakery to be able to allow the mechs to come out and take off. And so he's always the one that has like that cowboy-esque mount to get onto his mech. You know, he has to do a flourish. Everyone else is already in the cockpit, so everyone else is ready to go. He's pushing the button and the bakery's going, and he's got to do some stupid flip in the air just to get into the ship, because why not? He's the hot shot. He's the best. The only person who's better than him is Elista, and that's coming up. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get that record. And that could be something that could be fun, as well as have some kind of like a speed maneuverability skill check or something, some kind of skill check challenge, you know, for the party if they were to ever show up here. So Thorn, or well, actually no, I'll throw it to Pup. Pup, what is our next store in the base?
Oh, it's a butcher shop, because
we're gonna do the butcher and candlemaker.
Yeah,
why not?
I love it.
But since hummingbirds are like hummingbirds don't traditionally eat meat, it's a butcher of flowers. So like it's a flower butcher. So they grow like these like sentient flowers that have consciousness.
Why?
And they make these drinks that are like full of like all the nutrients that
all the
need.
nectar, the blood of the flower.
Yeah, and they cut the stem off, and the flower like screaming. They take like a blender into the top. Like,
why?
Blend it in.
Oh, I love that. I'm imagining like Venus flytraps.
Yeah.
Like, they have to chop the head off, and it like inches around on the floor while it's like trying to bite him.
And once they snap that Venus flytrap's head back, like where like it's like stuck, there's all this like juice in there, and so the hummingbirds just kind of like reach in with their hummingbird
good stuff.
Yeah, and it's like a straw.
Wow.
Okay.
Stuff.
That went dark quickly.
I'm gonna throw it to Brandon then, because Brandon.
I like this. This is serious hummingbird lore.
So what's the name of this flower butcher shop, Brandon?
The name of this flower butcher shop.
I have one in the bank just in case.
I do too.
I don't.
Pies and petals.
Pies and petals.
That's just what I came up with on top of my head. What do you guys have?
So mine was the budding buddies, because they're sentient flowers.
Mine was making the cut.
Ooh.
That's dark.
You know what? Let's go dark. I like it. Making the cut.
Oh my god.
As soon as he said sentient, I was like, son of a bitch.
Yep. Making the cut.
It's a butcher shop. I don't know.
It is.
Tell you.
Yeah.
The flower people are very peaceful.
But they usually don't bring the cows in and you kill them right in front of them. And shove them into a blender.
I imagine like a vegan butcher shop. Like they just collect the flowers and then treat it like a butcher shop, but it's not really. But you went all really in vegan with the sentient flowers and everything. Now this is meat. Yeah.
They have like mouths, and like some of them look really cute, but they're delicate.
Oh my god.
And they're like, we were here before.
That's enough. Pop, that's enough.
After your
They speak too. Oh my god.
It's the little star on the Mario Brothers movie.
It is
waiting for
star.
death. Yeah. It's waiting for death.
It's waiting for
We're gonna die. So Brandon, who is the moderator of making the cut? Who's this NPC?
Of making the cut? The butcher, right?
Yes.
His name is H.T. Featherland.
H.T. Featherland.
Yes. He is because he works in the butcher shop, right? So he's used to chopping the heads off of these things. He's a no nonsense kind of older gentleman, kind enough, but he's the guy that you call to get shit done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like when maybe not the highest charisma, he's not the negotiator of the group or anything, but just like, he handles everything the way he handles his butcher shop. Like when those little creatures come in and he one straight swipe of the knife to cut the head off so that he can make this food. That's how he operates his mech too. Like very very precise. He's a very, I'm imagining a very lawful guy, very stoic,
Mhm.
quiet. Yeah.
Okay. I'm imagining like a sergeant type of character.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, because I've met a few sergeants, and you know, every time you say sir, they go, "Oh no, I work for a living." So, you know,
I see him as the one that always welcomes the newcomers.
Yeah.
okay,
Would
He's
just try to
welcomes.
scare the shit out of them right away.
Yeah.
Right.
Welcomes like giant air quotes like.
And I like his call sign to be Featherfall.
Featherfall. Hell yes.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And then, for whatever reason, we have a candle shop. You know, and I think
Oh,
I'll throw
I'm
my
gonna up
twist into
this.
it. Okay.
Okay, go ahead. You do
Oh, well-
you first.
Well, remember in Arc 1 of our campaign, we actually had a candle shop that had magic candles.
Yes.
And when you lit the candle, depending on the duration, it cast spells. So these are so these are our candles, incense, all kinds of things that aid the military process in the base. You know, there's
And
even
they
Go
are
ahead.
laced through with stardust.
yeah.
Ooh, I like
That's
that.
how you get the
Yeah.
effect.
All
Okay.
right, stardust candles. Got it.
You've heard of drinking stardust. You've heard of snorting stardust. Now lighting stardust on fire sounds like a really good plan.
Incense. Yeah.
And I would take you one better if you do this, if you actually bring this into the game, and because we know the volatile nature of stardust, when you light the candle, you have a 1d20 roll whether it's going to blow up or not.
Oh yeah,
And-
Yeah.
absolutely.
If it lands on a natural one, it explodes.
Yep, it explodes. And it says there's a sign on the window that says we are not responsible for exploding candles.
Right.
Very specific.
The warranty
Yes.
is not valid.
All sales are final.
All sales are finals, no returns. Yeah.
It says all sales are final when you walk out the door, and so he's kind of set up this accidental thing where people try to light candles inside the store. Like, no.
Just to test it out, be like, no.
Make sure.
Yeah.
No.
No fire spells allowed inside at all.
So, Thorn,
Yeah.
what could be our candle name? Our candle
I'm
shop
working
name?
on the last name. Working on a call sign right now. I think our first name should be Soraya.
Oh, you're going for the
So-
NPC? Okay.
Yes.
Oh, it's called Wick.
The name of the candle shop?
Yeah.
Burning at both ends.
Done
Wick.
deal.
Y'all are
That
quick
was
with
easy.
it too, man. That's good.
When he said candle shop, I was like, ooh, burning at both ends. Yes.
Burning at both ends. The candle shop.
And they sure as hell are at this place.
Yes.
All right.
And
And you said
her name is
Saria?
Soraya.
Soraya.
I haven't thought of a call sign yet, though. So, Pup, what do you think a call sign could be?
Sunflower, firecracker.
That's the name of the
Firecracker.
town, dude. Firecracker's fine.
I'll take that one.
Oh, yeah.
I had to do word association in my head for a minute. I was like, fire.
I like it. Okay. So we have Area 82, which is, lovingly called the Sunflower. We have a baker shop named A Need for Sweets, who is run by Elijah Hibiscus, the hot shot of the group. We have a flower butcher shop making the cut, HT Featherland, call sign Featherfall, and the candle shop that has magical stardust candles burning at both ends, Soraya Firecracker. I love it. Listeners, that's all you need for a town. You need 3 things, 3 people that they can come up
Play
with,
these characters.
and then everything else you could do on the fly, or have a list of some NPCs on the side just in case they want to know more people.
Keep a list of names.
Keep a list of names.
Lord,
That's-
keep a list of names.
I keep
Everybody always asks names.
I
Yeah.
keep a list on the side, and I have fantasynamegenerators.com always just up.
I
Or
actually
you
have
can
a funny
name-
story about that.
Go for it.
So when we were recording Stardust, and I don't know if you could tell in the episode, but when when we were recording Stardust and they got to the cluster, I think in episode 3, they kept asking the names of everyone.
Yep.
So
I noticed.
the dude, yeah. So the guy, I think the valet, when they were trying to park their ship, then I think some kid came out and gave them a flyer. They were like, "What's your name?" And I just had to. They caught me lacking. I didn't have my stuff, and I was just throwing names out, just trying to come up with it. But I definitely have a document with a list of names now.
Yeah.
Yes.
And as an addition to that, if you don't have a list of names, like Brandon unfortunately didn't have for that episode, when you come up with a name, for the love of all that is holy, write it down.
Write it down.
Because if
Hi.
not, the party will come back and be like, "So where's Gregory?" And you're like, "Who the fuck is Gregory? What are you talking about?"
Or you can have 5 renditions of Gorm.
Yeah.
I was like Gorm, Grom,
Yeah.
Grom. Confused the hell. In my game, I had like 5 renditions of the name Gorm.
And then I didn't help matters because in the game I was playing in his campaign and my character's name was Gromp. So
Oh wow, yeah.
yeah,
and it was just
it just kept going back and forth.
Grump.
No, he's the worst with names anyway. I had
True.
a guy named Torn. His name, it was a paladin, a Leonin paladin named Tornalin,
Ooh,
and
okay.
everybody called him Torn, and he kept saying Thorn.
Yep, hence
like,
the
dude,
name.
So is that where Thor comes from?
Yes, that's where it comes from.
that's where Thorn comes
It,
from.
and it was
That's
so
great.
immediate too, because we were talking about call signs and stuff, and Illidan's, my LARPing name. So when I was like, "All right, what do you want your call sign to be?" He was like, "Thorn," and I was like, "Isn't it Torn?" He was like, "Not anymore."
Not anymore. The best way to do it, you just lean into it. Yeah.
I changed the fates of my characters.
They're gonna call me that.
Okay, so we're gonna go through some questions, and we tend to ask most of our interviewees these questions, but it's basically it's curiosity on our part. We really want to know.
Okay.
How does it
'cause
end?
You said when we talked on Occupied with Stardust and Dragons that you had started playing when you were 16.
Yep. That is right.
Do you remember your first character?
The first character I ever played, or the first character I ever made?
Either.
The first time I ever played, I played an NPC basically. I was they kind of had to they had to like throw me into the game kind of in a way.
Okay.
So I was I think I was like a soldier who was a prisoner who had been being held prisoner by the bad guy that they were fighting. And so when the heroes came to save everyone, like it was my chance to escape. So I spent like my first time playing D&D, I was in handcuffs. It was like, "What do you do?" I was like, "I try to get out of the handcuffs." And I remember spending, it was a lot like, it was a lot like that scene in the Dungeons and Dragons movie where dudes trying to like get out of the restraints on the stairs. Like I spent way too long overthinking how to get out of handcuffs, instead of like using my imagination for real. I'm like, well, can I I was like, if it's behind my back, can I like put one leg in front of it and put him in the, and it was so like involved in everything, and it was like, okay, dude, just relax and play the game, like, yeah. So that was the first character I ever played. He didn't have a name or anything, but I just remember that because like all the action was happening over here, and my guy's just like, "Don't kill me." The first character I ever made, was he was a air genasi.
Okay.
Yeah, because I like making like thematic characters. So I remember picking a bunch of like air-based spells and like trying to like flavor it to where like, he could like he was kind of like an airbender kind of guy. Yeah. I played a couple of games with him, but that was the first one that I ever made. Yeah.
What was it? What system was it? 4E?
It was like a homebrew system based off of 3.5.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when I first started playing. Yeah.
Nice.
Throwbacks.
3 point.
Right?
Yeah.
3.5, so much math.
Yeah. 3.5. I didn't know anything about 3.5 or anything like that. And because when I first started playing, I was playing with like a bunch of guys that were like twice my age. And funny story. I think it was like a Friday. I was supposed to hang out with my girlfriend at the time, and her dad and his friends were playing D&D, and I was like, they sound like they're having way more fun over there.
Damn.
It was cool. She was cool about it though. But so I went over there and I was like, and kind of got it, and that's kind of how I got introduced to the game. Was and you know they've been playing for a while, and they all told me that don't learn 3.5 is what they played. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
4. It had its uses. Not many.
I've actually-
but-
I've actually never played a game using that system before.
So you know, I have the player's handbook for 4th edition,
Mhm.
and I use it to aid my spells in 5th edition. Like I will give my players different skill sets and feats and stuff from
Okay.
4th edition, and
Yeah.
it because they did have some creativity in there, and you just have to fudge a couple of the like the math and stuff because it still had a lot of the math from 3.5. So it's like, yeah, you could roll to hit plus 26, and you're like, the fuck no.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Never.
Plus 26? Never.
Yeah, but it was still fun, and at least having the names of things and being able to just make feats, it gets the creative juices flowing a little bit more.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, though, how as a story weaver, and especially since you've been playing for so long, how do you come up with either new ideas or reskin old ideas for your games, especially now with Stardust and Dragons?
Just
Are you a genius and it just comes out of your brain, or are you pulling from movies and books?
Nah,
and
I
things?
mean, I think you kind of. I think everything kind of comes from somewhere, right?
Mhm.
I think you do kind of put a fresh coat of paint on stuff that you've seen. What I try to do is like mashups.
Okay.
Like
I love mashups.
like different genres and stuff. I played. I was running a game, like an in-person game, that it didn't last very long because scheduling and stuff. But it was
Yeah.
it was a tribal Lovecraft game that I was really
Ooh.
proud of.
Oh.
Yeah, it was freaking awesome, and I wish we could have continued it. But yeah, like the whole thing took place on this island, and there were like 5 different tribes, and all of the players were in one tribe, and so half of the game was like interacting with the other tribes and their leaders and stuff like that, and making sure that your tribe was cool, because I think one of the players was like the chief, and they all had like certain roles within the they all had certain leadership roles within the tribe, and then there was this plague that was like affecting the land and stuff, so it was causing like tensions, and like there was like this whole resource thing because you had to go out and you hunt for your food and stuff like that. So yeah, and so I slowly started introducing these Lovecraftian elements into it and stuff. Like one guy got yanked down in this pool while he was fighting the alligator. He got confronted by this like Cthulhu-esque monster, and in that moment became his patron, and so he came out as like a whatever the water-based warlock was. The Deep, I think it is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the deep one.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
it's
so I know
called
what
the
you're
deep
talking
one.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's called the deep one.
Yeah,
That's the
so
one
he-
that lets you produce a tentacle.
Right. Yeah. So he got to become a patron of essentially the villain. and walk back to the tribe like, hey, I completed my first hunt. They're like, so how did it go? He was like, it was fine. It's like, and stuff. And I remember one of the players like rolled a perception check and realized he didn't have any scars on him the entire time. It was like, what's going on? So there was gonna be some intrigue and stuff, but they were gonna uncover this whole like this whole thing. But yeah, it was
That sounds
so
really cool.
Yeah.
to actually answer your question, yeah, I like mashing up genres and just telling stories I'm kind of obsessed with like story structure.
Mhm.
and using it to like tell a story in like a different way, or like
Okay.
even like from a different perspective, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Like kind of like how like in Stardust and Dragons, how like, you know, the entire first arc is literally just like the party coming together, you know.
Yeah.
Like let's chop the rest of it off and let's focus in on that. Like what does that look like, and how could we, like, what's the story there, you know? Like
Mhm.
how can we take the 3 act structure and put it in like just the first act of like you know, the party coming together, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
and, you know, that kind of stuff.
Which is genius in my opinion,
That-
because it really draws you in and gets you attached to the characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
That's
worked
true.
amazingly well.
Thank
So
you.
you said you liked combining genres. What is your favorite genre to write into?
Horror, man. I love horror.
Jesus.
Tell me
Yes.
more.
Yes. Oh man, yeah. I think
I love horror too.
horror is one of those, like, I don't know. I've always liked horror, like even back as a kid and stuff. And like I've just always remembered like writing short stories and stuff like that. But I especially in D&D, because like you get to play with people's perceptions, and you get to play with like kind of, you know, because you go into it, you think, oh, okay, you know, you got your vampire, you've got your zombies, you got your werewolves, and blah blah blah. But then like you look into the D&D book and you see something like a Yeth Hound in there,
Mhm.
or something, and it's like, okay, yeah, I'll throw this at them and see, you know, and see what they do. And because especially like with seasoned players, they immediately start going through their Rolodex of like creatures that they fought before.
Yep.
And so it's really cool to like kind of watch them Scooby-Doo or Hardy Boys it, to like, you know, ask certain questions and try to figure out what the creature is. And then if you could actually scare them, like whether it be with an image or a description, or like you just start rolling dice, or you just say, you know, oh, that NPC that you were traveling with, yeah, he's gone. Oh, when did he disappear? I don't know. You failed your perception check. You know? Yeah, your character doesn't know. It's like, oh, guys, you know, or like even taking advantage of like playing online, you know, DMing someone information that the other part, that the
Yes.
rest of the party doesn't know, and then watching that play out as they're like, guys, don't go in there. They're like, why? What's the problem? And just seeing all of that play out, like, yeah, like horror is one of those, you know, it's a universal language. Everybody knows what it feels like to be scared.
Mhm.
And it's cool to be able to like kind of like pull those strings when I find it like a challenge, like, because the players know, okay, try to scare us, you know. So like
Right.
if I can,
Yeah.
if as a DM I can actually do that, it's like, yeah, kudos to me, you know.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And that's the thing is,
That-
you know, like we've all played against a dragon before, or a cave troll or something.
Right.
But when you bring out a Yith Hound, or my personal favorites are the False Hydra or the
Yeah.
Night Stalker, like when you really get those going, it can really change a player's perspective on their character's life.
Yeah.
and monsters in the monster manual, even like dragons, even ones that people commonly encounter, they're not creepy in the sense of what you're playing as. Like you exist in the world where magical creatures exist. But
Mhm.
if you use description to describe them to a player and describe them creepy enough, especially like a dragon and the way that they look and they coil, or their movements and stuff, that
Yeah.
will scare people. Like,
Oh
it's
man.
just
Even
that
something like
creepiness.
stumbling into a dragon's lair, like
Exactly.
Yeah.
not even describing him in his full splendor, just be like, you know, hey, you feel like a real hot gust of wind hits you from hit the back of your neck. You turn around and you lift up your torch, and you just see a dragon's snout just blowing air as he's sleeping. Yeah, you're in a dragon's sword. It's like, oh snap, you know.
Yeah. Hey, we're level 3. Well, you're in a dragon's lair. Sorry.
Yeah.
Good
You went
luck.
there.
What do you do?
Right.
Well, speaking of horror, and bringing it back to Stardust and Dragons, are there going to be any horror elements that are going to be popping up soon that you've like incorporated into the game?
Yeah, ish. Towards the end, towards the end, you guys are on what, episode 4 now, so yeah, towards the end, I'd say the climax is pretty creepy.
Nice.
Yeah,
no,
I'd say
no spoilers.
No
yeah,
spoilers.
right. No, that's all I'm gonna say. I'd say this climax is pretty creepy.
That's cool. So
Okay, so one of my things I like to ask is, do you play or have you played any other thing besides Dungeons and Dragons? Any other TTRPGs?
I was really into Star Wars for a while.
Nice.
The Star Wars TTRPG is a lot of fun.
That's fun.
Yeah, going back to the mashup thing, I ran a year and some change long campaign. It was a Star Wars crossover with Marvel. And instead of the Infinity Stones, I created these Force Stones, and they were all kind of riffs off of the Infinity Stones, and so I wrote them up as individual magic items. And
Perfect.
yeah, and like this was a while ago, so I wasn't as creative as I am now. But the villain was Darth Thanos, and they basically played through like the Infinity Saga, where they had to like track down the Force Stones and avoid the Sith and all this other kind of stuff. It was a lot of fun. We had a whole anime time skip in there. It was crazy. Like like the party separated and then they came back together like 3 levels higher and stuff. I remember one guy, one of the players was like, he was a soldier, and they were literally at war with the Sith, trying to take over this planet and stuff. And one of the other player characters was a Jedi, and he had a vision that the planet was going to explode. So at that moment, the players had to make a choice on, the soldier player had to make a choice on, and he tried really, really hard to like get like to convince like his the NPCs, the other people in his squad or whatever, I think his basically his squad mates, to come with him and stuff. But his commanding officer Violet, I think was her name, like she wasn't having any of it. She was like, we're so close, we're knocking on their door and you want us to retreat, soldier, you better get in there and fight. And so he essentially defects from the military because he's trusting that his friend the Jedi had this vision that the planet was going to explode. And so he had to hop in the ship and fly off and like watch all of these NPCs that like he spent like the last 5 games with just die.
Dang.
Yeah, it was gut wrenching and super emotional, but I made him it's cool though. He ended up being like the king of the Mandalorians at the end of it, so it was all fine.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Consolation prize.
Yeah.
And that actually brings up a good point. If because you were talking about scheduling issues, if you have scheduling issues, splitting the party is a great way to still get your D&D fix. Because if you're like, oh yeah, I mean, I can do something with you and then the next day or the next evening or something, and especially now with Zoom and just instant messaging in general, Thorn and I constantly text back and forth different stuff that's going on the side. And if talking about the horror aspect, and you were talking about DMing somebody when you're playing online, I love seeing my players at the table all look at Thorn's phone when it just dings, and they've seen me just they see me put my phone down and his goes off, and he's like, oh, just what's going on? Don't worry about it.
It's nothing.
Yeah,
it's great because it lets you know you've got them.
Yeah.
Like not only in game but like at the table, or like on like they're captivated. They're like, what was just a phone going off? It's like yeah.
Oh, the secret roll is always my favorite.
The secret roll is the
secret
best
roll.
one.
Just roll some dice. What are you rolling for? Don't worry about it.
You'll
I
see.
will do it for nothing.
Yeah.
I will just roll dice.
Yeah, I will say though, as a cautionary tale to the newer story weavers, don't always do it for nothing. Have it mean something, because otherwise, then it'll lose its luster after a while. Like, oh, they're just rolling for nothing just to try and scare us. But if you have something, if it just so happens to land on that nat 20 and you look at it and your eyes get really big, then you're like, okay, guys, so here's what's gonna happen, and just like put. I have my computer open. I've had it where I've closed my computer, and just been like, all right, so let me describe what's going to happen to you guys. And they're like, what the fuck? We didn't do nothing.
Yeah.
So,
and I think you're illustrating a very interesting and often overlooked point, is that like, as the DM, everybody DMs differently, but you are essentially like the narrator of the story. And the narrator sets the tone, like plays a very important part in like, you know, how the other characters are supposed to feel. Like if you like that dragon encounter, if you describe, you know, like say you stumble upon a sleeping dragon, as the narrator, if you describe that in like kind of a kooky, funny sort of way, it pulls all of the tension out of it, you know, and it signals to the players, oh, hey, this isn't as serious, you know, we can kind of joke around. Whoa, wouldn't it be weird if, you know,
Yeah.
as opposed to it being like serious and like just taking a different tone, you know, like lowering your voice a little bit and really, you know, really focusing it like, guys, like this is what you see, and just adding that level of like severeness to it changes that entire scene completely. Like, and it's such a cool way to like you know, like set the tone, you know.
And on that same vein, because I'm currently having this issue, how, for newer story weavers, how do we come up with villain monologues?
Oh, write them down beforehand.
Okay.
Absolutely. Or at least a little bit. Like, I prepare if your villain is if it's gonna be a scene, write it down. Absolutely. Have your words prepared and rehearse it and make it mean something. You know, that's the time where your acting chops gotta come in a little bit. You really gotta, like, you know, go in.
So how would you structure a monologue? You know, even if it's a small one, you know, right immediately before combat, like maybe you only have a couple of minutes for the villain to say his piece.
I think I think the question there is how do you want the players to feel after the monologue is over? Do you want them to feel like defeated? You know, like, do you want them to hate this guy? Do you want them to be filled with righteous fury, like, oh, screw you, let's roll initiative, you know? Or, you know, do you want them to be terrified afterwards? Like, how do you want them to feel? And then, you know, just kind of work backwards from there is what I do. So, like, you know, if it's a villain monologue, you know, and this is the villain's time of triumph, you know, like, at that point, to just contradict what I just said, to that point, it's like, if I was gonna write it like that, I'd be like, okay, as the villain, I don't even care what the players think at this point. This is my moment to shine. And that's what I want to show to the players, you know? So, you know, I want to, you know, he's going to be arrogant. He's going to be over the top, you know? And then even as the narrator, like, if they try to interrupt, I'll say, he doesn't let you interrupt. He holds up his hand, you know, and continues to go, you know, like force them to watch him chew the scenery and enjoy this moment, you know, kind of make them be like, somebody needs to shut this guy up, you know? Like, you know, build that kind of thing, you know.
I like it. Awesome.
Yeah.
No, that's a perfect way to describe it, because it's definitely how you want your players to feel.
Yeah,
for sure. And I've had plenty of like really good monologues by the villain and really crappy ones. So
the players will do that to you sometimes, man. I remember I was running Candlekeep Mysteries for Ink and Liar, and they were my villain was trying to monologue, and they just kept saying actions that their characters were doing. They were like, okay, well, I'm gonna draw my sword. I'm like, wait. And he's like, okay, well, I'm gonna walk over here and prepare for when his monologue is over. I'm like, no, this is a cutscene. You can't move right now. Like, you know, so sometimes, I mean, and I think those are the moments when you realize, like, this is like collaborative storytelling, you know?
Yes.
And there are going to be those times where the players are like, skip cutscene, like, we don't want to hear the monologue. We're trying to throw hands now, boy, you know?
Yeah. And so I guess that would be the comment to new players too, is sometimes you just gotta let the DM go for a little bit. You know, because as a story weaver, we always try to let the party go. You know, if they're RPing between people, we're not gonna be like, all right, so what do you guys are you guys going to the next, you know, store or whatever? You know, if we're doing like a shopping thing, like let them, you know, lean back in your chair, let it breathe and let them RP for a while. And it's vice versa for the story weaver as well. My favorite story so far is my wife, Raven. my first villainous monologue that I did for this table, she started clapping and was like, "Ooh, a villain monologue!" And so I let that be in character, and I cut my monologue short. And I was like, "Okay, roll initiative," and he attacks you first.
Woo! That's how you do it. Yeah. I like that. Yeah, it's like, oh no. You don't get to suck the energy out of this.
Nope,
No.
we're
Okay.
going.
Sure. You cut me off, I'm mad now. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you this. This kind of goes, it's definitely going to be a Story Weaver question.
Mhm.
If your table gets a little out of hand with certain things, how do you rein them in?
Gently.
Yeah.
Gently. You know, D&D, I would say the best D&D games require trust between the players and the dungeon master. Like, I'm going to use Candlekeep as another example because so the world I created was very serious, right? Like, stuff was happening, the library was under attack, you know, people were dying. The characters were just not having it, man. They just and so I think you as the dungeon master, you have to have a certain flexibility, right?
Yeah.
Like, you have to be okay with changing things about your story, because it is collaborative. So, like, as long as the bones are in place, right? The story that you want to tell is the story that you want to tell. And sometimes it does take, you know, reining them in. You know, that could be anywhere from, you know, just start narrating events that are happening in the story and the players will come along. Start rolling dice to get their attention, you know. Or, you know, you could even sometimes you just got to be like, all right, so here's what happens next, you know, and just you know, move the story along. But if your characters are, if your players are like kind of getting distracted by stuff, I think that's a good thing in a way, because it means that they're enjoying your world. It means that they're lost in the sauce. It means that they're imagining. It means they're imagining what their characters are doing. You know, like, you know, like, we've all had moments, you know, in it, when you're in a dungeon, you don't just go straight through the dungeon and clear it out. You know, like, sometimes you want to open every chest. Sometimes you want to talk to every NPC. And personally, if somebody cares enough about the stuff that I've created to talk to every NPC and open every chest that I've come up with, thank you. You know, because that means that you see the same thing that I see, that I in my head, you know, when I tried to create it. So, like, it's not always a bad thing. You know, obviously, you know, there's time constraints and you want to get through the story and stuff, but like, let them play it out at their own pace. You know, if you had a giant dragon fight that you wanted to get to in this game, and this was going to be the game, chill, homie. You know, they're still in the dungeon. You know, no one's died. The dragon's still there. You know, maybe that'll be next week's game. You know, because this week, you know, this week one of them really wanted to kill a rat, and the other one wanted to save it, and so now the party has a pet rat. It's like, that's, you know,
man, that sounds like Raven.
Yeah.
Now we have, and then we have like 7 other non-NPCs. They're just sitting there. She saved
that I have to play every single session.
Keep track of.
Those are the types of things that you literally can't write. Those are the things you can't plan for, and those are the things that your players are going to remember, because that's them putting their mark on your story.
Yeah,
there you go. That's the perfect way to put that.
That is
the perfect way to put that. I love that.
I'm gonna clip that and put it on TikTok. So there you
go. Speaking of which, I am really curious about this. What is your favorite creature to run in your games, like from D&D?
Sheesh, I don't think I have one.
Because I really like things that poison people. Because I'm a terrible person.
You like to kill people.
I like that. I've never actually ran a creature that poisons people before, but that would be super interesting.
Oh, it's gnarly. Yeah.
Holy crap. I don't know. I will say, like, I like running vampire games for new players. Because
we gotta talk.
Okay. What's up?
Have you ever played World of Darkness?
Played who? Nuh-uh.
World of Darkness.
Mm-mm.
That's vampire, werewolf, changeling. There's so many different games in this one world. Primordial, and it's a world modern day, but it's dark.
Yeah.
I mean, it's called World of Darkness.
Yeah. It's giving me Ravenloft vibes, kind of.
Very. Yeah.
Hello,
Very,
my friends.
yeah. It's one of my favorite games to play. I run werewolf, vampire. I've run a bunch of them.
sounds like
Mummy's
something-
one of them.
Ooh, okay.
Oh yeah, Mummy,
Oh,
and they
Mummies
make
would
you
be
become
cool. I
an
haven't done-
Egyptian from
Yeah.
back then. You're this many years old and just got out of the casket. I mean, it's really cool. It's
Yeah.
a simplified version, but it's mainly an RP based system.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah.
it's a lot of RP, which personally I love.
Right. Yeah,
I get
yeah, yeah.
sick of rolling,
Right.
but
That's the fun
it's
stuff.
very heavy RP, and it's such a fun game.
And you play
Well,
as
that's-
the monsters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you play, and there's one called
Yeah.
Hunter where you can be the guy that hunts them.
Yeah, or there's also like a bunch of companion ones where you can play as people who aren't monsters but have like monstrous qualities, like serial killers or
Oh, dope. Okay.
Yeah.
people who are like
Yeah.
I think like a veteran's another one, like someone who has like seen like war. and,
Well,
like,
you
it
could
has,
you could
like,
also be like
aspects.
somebody in a werewolf's family, because werewolf and the lycanthropy in World of Darkness isn't because you get bit; it's hereditary.
Ooh.
So it skips generations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, when they see you, when regular humans see you change, they have a chance to go insane.
And their madness table is not nice.
It's not
Yeah,
nice at
at
all.
all.
At all.
Also, you can play as a mage, and if you do magic in front of people who don't know what magic is, you're basically bending reality around you. People will go crazy as well.
They're
Like,
losing
when
their
they
minds.
witness-
Yeah.
when they witness magic, they can't comprehend the stronger spell, because the magic system is you create the spells, like what you want to do, but it like there's like whiplash back. So
Mhm.
like the stronger your spell is, the more it has the ability to make people around you perceive it and like go crazy. It's kind of
Okay.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that sounds really cool. I need to. Yeah, I would totally.
It's a cool system. It's I've been playing it for decades. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So what I'll do, since I've got big brain motions here, I'll send you the PDF of World of Darkness,
Please
and
do.
we
yeah.
can do a one shot.
Oh, I'll run that.
Yeah.
Oh, I would love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring back my vampire.
No.
no vampires. No, I'm just kidding.
That would be cool. See, because I would love to like be in like a horror game like that. I don't get to play in a whole lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Thorne's really good at it. I mean, this last one, like we were in the world of Jack the Ripper. We were in London during that time.
Yo!
Oh man, it was.
I did a whole time travel thing.
Yeah.
I gave them they were hunting a certain thing, a certain person, and if they didn't find it in this many sessions, that person left.
He was just gonna be gone. Yeah.
So the people that knew what they were there for, which were few and far between, and usually it was the bad guys that knew it, when they send whoever's playing, who at that time was whoever was killing people as Jack the Ripper, they sent him back in time. So they were there to attack him and fought and got caught up and it gets sent back with them. So it went from Jack the Ripper to the Salem witch trials.
Holy crap. Okay. Yeah.
And I have like 3 characters floating around in that world because I can't seem to keep my characters straight. But yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So we'll definitely have to do that for sure.
Yeah,
Oh,
we'll
yeah.
definitely talk
Oh,
about
yeah.
that for sure.
Oh yeah.
So
It's just that I like to talk about other tabletop role-playing games besides D&D
yeah,
Right.
because
Well,
they're
and
a lot
then-
of fun.
yeah.
There
And
was,
the thing is, this podcast, we try to keep it, a wide umbrella because it's tabletop role playing games. And
Right.
so we try to make sure, especially that role playing aspect of it, that's what we'd like to enhance for the players and for the story weavers.
Yeah.
So talking about other tabletops, potentially doing this one shot with you in World of Darkness, we can see some of those creative juices flow in other things. So.
Exactly. I love to hear that you're a horror fan. It's so amazing.
That's his shtick. If you haven't,
That is
noticed.
my thing.
That's our horror.
I
guru.
love horror.
Awesome.
I loved Ravenloft. I love the book that came out for it. Like I consistently reference all the creatures in there and like the characters, and I'm like, yes, more horror. Give it to me.
Ravenloft is one of the only like I still have like the physical books of Ravenloft.
Yeah. So we're coming up on an hour for our recording time. Already, yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, and obviously we're gonna have you on again. We're gonna have to.
Yeah.
Because we obviously can talk forever about just about anything in these games.
Seriously.
And so actually, brains going in different ways. So we have this one shot that I would love to do, and that one we'll have to figure out what's best time for you, because obviously we're busy with Get Stardust and Dragons and trying to get things rolling with that.
Yeah.
So figuring out the schedule for that, but at least a quick one would be another interview style like this, but helping us build a new campaign for new story weavers.
Yeah,
We could just
Oh,
start
that
a
would
story.
be awesome. Yeah.
absolutely.
That'd be great. I'd love to do that.
Cool.
That sounds awesome.
All right.
And also, and go one step past that, I would love to get him on here and have him make his World of Darkness character.
Ooh. See, now we've just gotten 3 episodes out of you. Hey.
Hey,
We're gonna need verbal confirmations on the recording, please.
We'll send you a
Um,
contract to sign.
right. Yeah, all good. Nah, yeah, I'm definitely down for the one shot. Definitely down to come back. That sounds like a lot of fun. Making my I like the little brainstorm sessions that y'all do. That's
Yeah.
unique and interesting. I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
we have fun.
brainstorming we throw off each other sometimes gets a little wild.
It does.
But
We come up with the
it's-
craziest stuff sometimes.
Yeah, it's a lot
Like-
of fun. We
like
put a
Area
couple of those on
82.
Patreon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of content on Patreon.
I
Speaking of
love it, man.
Patreon,
Speaking of, good
yeah.
segue. Good segue.
right? Both of us have a Patreon. So this Dungeon is Occupied Patreon has bonus content. We have NPCs of the week. We have Towns of the Month. We have, you can, if you get the $35 tier, you can play a game with us. If you go into a higher tier, we will make a game for you. And then we have what we call the Elon Musk tier. It's $5,000 a month, and we will fly to your house and completely make a new campaign for you, whatever you would like. It is the yes sir tier. But that's a hey, we gotta throw it out at least once in a while.
Right.
Patreon.com/this dungeon is occupied. To find that, all the links will be in the doobly-doo in the podcast notes. But since we are partners with Brandon Hatcher and the rest of the crew at Speakeasy Productions, they have a podcast or a Patreon as well. Patreon.com/Speakeasy Productions. And that one is only $5. You get bonus content for their Stardust and Dragons podcast. A lot of stuff is already posted. They just launched 2 days ago. The podcast episode 1 has just launched, and there's already, I think, 13 posts on Patreon right now. So
Yeah,
get
we
in.
got a lot of stuff on there.
Yeah, get in there while you can. And
Do it.
with that, remember to check your dungeons, because this dungeon is occupied. Weavers, thanks for listening to another episode. If you enjoyed it, please rate and review us, as this is how we can grow the podcast and our community. If you think we missed something, have a specific question, or would simply like to send one of us a message, you can contact us at thisdungeonisoccupiedpodcast@gmail.com. If you'd like to help us keep the lights on, we have our Patreon page and our merch store, which are found in our link tree in the show notes section, and we are now affiliated with arcanavolt.com, where you can get dice, apparel, and other goodies and help us at the same time. That link is also in our link tree. Our intro music was done by The Hobby Hub and Saturn Imaging Production. We have their links in our show notes, so you can go check them out. Thanks again for listening. Have fun, steal everything, and bye.